Veil of Dreams hyped me up so fucking much. I was so excited. The ending. The ending of Lady of the Lake. Just. No. 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 There was so many. There was plot hole. There was. The characters. All of the characters just went flat. It, it was a. It was a horrible ending. It was a horribly written ending. Okay, starting from the beginning. Veil of Dream, it ends with Talan proposing to Nia, saying that they need to get married, and Lady of the Lake picks up immediately after that. So she's in Brooklyn under the tower with Talan, and she is drooling over this man. She just witnessed, saw Vivian's corpse. She traveled for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days back to Brooklyn during storms and whatnot. This girl hasn't slept properly for days. She's been exhausted using her magic left and right and traveling through realms and all this stuff. And when she goes back, meets Talan, and he says they have to get married. She's like, he's the hottest thing I've ever seen in my life. Lady of the Lake really solidified my impression of Nia that a pretty face is it. That is enough for her. She will lose her marbles over a pretty face. Her relationship with Raphael was flat in my opinion. There was no emotions about it. It was just carnal lust. With Talan, Talan and Nia's relationship is the only relationship in this entire series that has any emotional depth or any emotional depth, but also the only relationship in which the emotions are explored. All of the other relationships, even between the characters themselves or Nia with the other characters, her friends, it's not explored. I was not able to pick up any emotional depth to it whatsoever. The only thing is with her mother, we get some emotional variety there from Nia's point of view. She hates her mom, blames her. She doesn't want to take care of her mom. At the same time, she's been picking up the pieces her entire life for her mom, and so on and so forth. But that's also very a one-way street. We get Nia's point of view. She never actually interacts with her mom, and this doesn't come to display. No, wait, I'm gonna be fair. One singular scene in Lady of the Lake where she interacts with her mom. Her mom is just drunk off her house. She's drunk off her house, stumbling around, and she's still on her spy mission. She's popped back into Avalon Tower. She sees her and goes out there and takes care of her. And she says, "Could you do this for once in your life?" She curses at her mother or something. And then her mother, being the manipulative person she's portrayed to be, says "Oh, nobody loves me." And then Nia switches back to, "No, I'm sorry, I do love you, but you need to get inside now. We need to take care of you." That singular scene is the only interaction between Nia and her mom, between Nia and any character that is not Talan, that shows emotions, emotions. For the rest, I really noticed this now in Lady of the Lake. The story is told; it's not shown. That really stuck out to me, especially in the ending. But I'll get to that later. Right, so Nia loses her marbles over Talan's beauty, and she's just staring there, rooted to the spot, because as he's saying, we need to get married, Arwena, murder attempt, I cannot let her be the queen of Brooklyn. So she's standing there, rooted in place, kind of struggling to get back into her Nia Valiant court personality. And she's just there oh, he's a god, he's sexy, he's hot. She's just admiring him. It was kind of funny, but it also really cemented that, yes, face is enough for her. Either way, poor Nia has still quite a fucking adventure ahead of her. Taran wants to wed her to prevent Arwena from becoming the queen of Brooklyn. Avalon, Talan's father, current king of the Fey realm, was planning on having Talan marry Arwena the day after Nia meets Talan, goes back to Talan. So, because the treasury is empty, Auburn has spent all the kingdom's money on the war, and now he needs Arwena's family's money. So that's the whole reason why Auburn is pushing Talan to get married to Arwena. And Talan wants to prevent this, so he's like, okay, I cannot get married unless, I can't get married if I'm already married. And apparently in Brokiliande, that's the only thing that will stop Talan from actually getting married. Auburn is able to wed Talan even without Talan being present. Rules of the Fae, or Brokiliande at least. Either way, so story progresses. They go to like the equivalent of a priest of some kind, a clergyman who can wed them. Nia's trying to she's unsure of what to do. She's trying to postpone the wedding because she's not sure of herself if she should really go through this. She's thinking her cover might be blown. People are going to be looking at her even more clear, even paying more attention to her, checking out her background even more, and she's afraid that it will come to light. Her story is fake. It's only a matter of time before she gets caught. But in the end, after battling a fucking basilisk in order to be purified for the wedding, and having her humanness on display, so they're running through the forest, escaping, hunting the basilisk, and she cannot keep up with Talan because she's demi-fae. Talan's fae just like running ahead. He even picks her up and runs with her, and he's still fine. But she manages to just explain that away. He hears that her lungs are making a noise when she's running, and she's like, yeah, just I'm not perfect like every other fae, that's just that. Just like he accepts that. He does seem a bit suspicious, but he doesn't really push it. In the end, they they do get married, and Nia becomes queen of Brokiliande. And I found this at this point, for most part of the book, maybe even up until halfway-ish, maybe more, I'm actually still really excited because I'm thinking, okay, now the House of Morgan has actually not taken over, but is actually sitting in a position of throne. Talan does not know that he's not actually of the bloodline de Morgan, but Nia is. Nia continues her undercover mission. Livene gets informed and all that. They have more eyes on them. They're being watched even closer. Time passes, and during this time, you see, Talan and Nia are getting closer. I think this was well captured by the authors. This was a good point. Kudos to them. It's clear, Nia's two conflicting sides. Because on one hand, she is still an agent of Avalon Tower, Avalon's steel torque holder, and she prioritizes her mission. She does that in the end. But she's very conflicted because on the other hand, she has her impression of Talan. She's seen that he probably, highly likely, is the main benefactor of the Blue Dragon Project, taking care of orphans of the war, demi-fae as well as humans. And she sees Talan, and she is thinking that he's not the bad guy he has been portrayed to be. And so these two sides are kind of warring, but also she is developing feelings for him. She's also just hot for him. So these two sides are warring with each other, and I think it's actually shown quite nice. That is shown. It is not simply told, it is shown. At one point, Talan takes her on a dragon ride, and he says he lost one of his dragons that was a part of him. It was his family kin. And you see her, it's described she feels very, very a crack open up in her heart the size of a hair, a small, but it's cracking up. But then at the same time, then you have her other side that's reinforcing her mind, and she decides okay, she decides to not fall for him. She decides to not mourn him once he's dead, and she decides that no matter what, when it's time to kill him, she will do it, even if it breaks her heart. So I think that was well captured. Nia's, even in Veil of Dreams, I feel her, so to say, transition. She told her she was lonely, and Talan was there, not comforting her, but he was there. She felt she had a little connection with him. In Veil of Dreams, as well as here Lady on the Lake, the transition Nia went through from simply being an Avalon Tower agent to slowly molding, being flexible, softening up for Talan specifically. I think that was well captured. Believable. There was emotion. There was depth. Nicely done. Time passes again. Events happen. She is risking getting her cover blown. She is struggling emotionally forth and back with deceiving Talan. She feels bad. She has a bad conscience. That's also mentioned several times throughout the book. Throughout her undercover mission. Then this is kind of one of the turning points, if you will. Nivene tells Nia that it's time. No, wait, actually, before that. Nia is forced to come back to Avalon Tower despite this, like being potentially doing huge damage to her cover, because she's so firstly well guarded by Talan because she's now his wife. Secondly, because there are so many eyes on her because she's an onion farmer who became the queen of Brokoliande overnight, essentially. So Nivene says like, hey, they want you back at Avalon Tower. They want you personally to report to them. It's not enough that I, Nivene, go and like relay the report. And Nia's like, what the fuck? But Nivene is tasked with creating diversion so that Nia can slip out and use the lay portal that is heavily guarded on orders from Tana. They manage, she goes, and this is one thing that kind of bugged me. She goes and she meets with the despicable asshole's head so far stuck up in his ass he can't see reality, right? And Sir Kay, I think it's called. She meets with them. Raphael is there too, and some other asshole Pandragons and the Iron Legion. And she debriefs them. So the whole reason for them having her come there was because they suspect she's been compromised. That Wraith, as always, Wraith, Pendragon, he's an asshole. It doesn't matter. He will just throw in anything to make her look bad or kill her or whatever, man. But Sir Kai, who is not necessarily, he's not like a demi-fae hater or anything. He too had a suspicion. So that's why they summoned Nia all the way to Avalon Tower. Now, it's like we understand that Nivene's diversion that she created to get like all the castle guards away from the plant guarding the lay portal, away from the plant that Talan planted to protect the lay portal. In order to do that, Nivene didn't just like stage a simple diversion. She apparently got together their Fae allies in Brokoliande and attacked Castle Perillos. That's what she did. That's not a small feat. She must have like gathered up allies, or maybe just also additionally other people who were just dissatisfied with the way the crown was handling things, so the way Oberon was handling things, and they attacked the castle in which the king lives. That's not small scale. That's huge. When Nia then first she goes through the lay portal, arrives at Mordred's island, Avalon Castle. He tells her like, "Oh, hey daughter, you're really ruthless, huh? 5 people have already died just for your diversion, so you can come here." And they're attacking Castle. I think he was also the one who's saying like they're attacking Castle Perillos, or it's made clear by Nia's guards alert her like, "Oh shit, something's happening." Either way, that's a huge thing, né? And it's stated, like Nia states that Nivene will buy her a couple of hours at least for the lay portal to be unguarded so she can go through and back. When Nia then arrives in Avalon Tower and she's speaking, getting interrogated from Riot and Kay and all these Knights of the Round Table, a few hours already pass. It's stated that she feels it's like months, but it's like a couple of hours. So the time for the diversion is actually already up there. But then on her way back, like I know a little bit of flexibility, it doesn't have to be exact in books and stuff like that. I'm aware of that. But then she's heading back to Avalon Castle to go to the lay portal, but she wants to make a quick stop by her room and see her friends. While she's on her way doing this, she sees her mother drunkenly going onto the yard, and she's like, "Shit, now old Abbott's like hard." She goes and takes care of her, meets Raphael, have like a small interaction there, and that's where she's like, "For fuck's sake, like, get your shit together, mom," where some emotion is shown. And then her friends also show up, and then they're all walking together to Mordred's castle. And I just feel, time-wise, I felt like, okay, now her couple of hours are up, something will happen. Maybe the lay portal on the other side is going to be guarded again now or something. But no, she goes back to Mordred. This isn't even like shown. They cut off, like she finishes, goes back to Mordred, and then the chapter ends. The next chapter is just like 3 weeks in the future, I think it was. 2-3 weeks in the future. And I was a bit like stumped and disappointed a bit, stumped a bit like, oh, okay, by that. I expected there to be some type of trouble because now from Nia's perspective, a couple of hours have passed. She can't actually be completely sure that it's unguarded on the other side, but nothing happened. Like it's not really pointed out, or it's not shown, or told about, or anything. It just gets okay. Now we have 2-3 weeks in the future, um, and I felt like that was a bit lacking. I would have liked. I do realize that Mordred with his moth could tell her if the lay portal is guarded or not, but I would have liked to have that mentioned. Just like a couple of lines, a little like half a page of like, oh, I like look at Mordred, like they just have like eye contact, and you're like, and he like nods towards the portal, signaling that yes, it's still unguarded, and he knows this because he has his spy moth in Brokiliande in Castle Kyrillos. I would have liked something like that at least, but now it's just kind of okay. Now we have 3 weeks in the future. And I was like, okay, okay. Throughout the book, they do this. It's like the chapters. It gets the beginning of Lady of the Lake, good, solid, up until like this, up until actually she goes to Avalon Tower, yeah, for this interrogation, so to say. After that, slowly and slowly, and then increasingly towards the end, the chapters just like it end abruptly, like in the middle of scenes, or just like kind of. It doesn't feel like the authors completely finished writing the chapter, but then they just like cut off, and then the next chapter is like just a time skip. It's just 1 week in the future, a couple of days in the future, 2 weeks into the future, and it's like, but there's some loose threads here. Like my reader experience with this was just like I was left hanging. I was just left hanging in so many chapters. Not enjoyable. Not enjoyable. It's nothing against time skips or anything like that. It's just it feels like they didn't fully finish addressing everything that happened in the chapter that needed to be addressed, and they just like cut it short and then time skip. Didn't feel nice at all. Right. That's one pivotal. That's one important thing that happens. So we have full on that Avalon Tower leadership is distrusting Nia. It's not just the Pendragons, but also Sir Kai. There's some like suspicions going on towards Nia there. Now the next plot point turner, I would say, is they decide to finally assassinate Talan and Oberon. Nia and Nivene have been providing Avalon Tower with all this information about their daily routines, where they go, and all this stuff. And now Avalon Tower has given the order that, okay, we're going to assassinate them now. Nia is tasked with opening Talan's bedroom window so that the assassin may sneak in and somehow kill him in Talan's sleep. Nia is, it's shown, good point to the authors, it's shown how conflicted she is. Ultimately, she does open the window for the assassin, but a few heartbeats later, she decides to save Talan. She makes up an excuse to get Talan out of the room. As they're about to exit, the room blows up. A bomb. They attempted to kill Talan with a bomb at the door. Nia realizes this. She gets like caught in the crossfire. She's slammed up against the wall. Her like a huge boulder is like fucking up her legs and stuff like that. Talan gets her out. All is well. She realizes that Avalon Tower just tried to assassinate her along with Talan. She opened the window, and a couple of minutes afterwards, the bomb was set off. They didn't need the window whatsoever. Like she realizes Avalon Tower just tried to kill her, and they tried to assassinate Oberon as well. They placed a bomb in his room as well, but he was in the library, and it's shown. And we figure out, yes, this is probably Wraith's doing. Nia tells all of this to Nivene, and Nivene is like, okay, that may be so, but we had our orders, like, we're gonna get the fuck out of it now. And Nivene says that the castle was too guarded, like once because of her diversion, so that Nia could go back to Avalon Tower to get interrogated, as well as now the bomb security is going to be extremely tight, and Nivene says, our mission is done. We can now go back to Avalon Tower. Nia refuses. She refuses to go back, and that officially, Nivene says, okay, bye, adios. And that makes Nia go rogue, so to say. So now Nia's on her own. She's in Brokeliande, continuing the farce of being onion farmer from, I forgot what the place was called, but from Brokeliande, and Talan's wife. She stays because she thinks she can still provide value there, which, yes, very fair. And also, she doesn't feel like Avalon Tower is her home anymore. That's mentioned a couple of chapters back too. Like she doesn't feel that it's her home anymore. But Brokeliande is also not her home, and she does not, like, she would never go back to America with her mom, and so she's kind of like lost. There's this underlying, not drifting, underlying sense of just being lost for Nia. Ne? She doesn't feel like she has a home anymore. That becomes important towards the end too. Like part of why I think the ending was atrocious. She stays with Talan, and he gives her a new mission. Her new mission, like the other ones, is to infiltrate the mind of a noble to manipulate him into being on Talan's side. That's her mission. However, with this particular noble, he's diseased, he's bedridden, and so it's a risk for Nia to touch him. Talan then says she doesn't have to. He can enter his dreams with Nia with him on a mental plane, magical plane, and she can use her powers there. And so to do this, Talan says she has to practice, and he lets her do so by entering his mind. He can control what she sees, like of his dreams, of his minds. He is allowing Nia in, but having like no control of what she sees. Huge display of trust, huge display of emotional vulnerability, in my opinion. This, like, if nothing else, this is the like biggest proof, so to say, that Talan has like emotions for Nia. That he's like close, he like, you know. Right, she enters, she sees some more things in his mind and makes her think that she was right about him not being the ruthless butcher that he's portrayed to be, that he himself portrays himself to be. And then they go off on a mission. Now, they do need to be close, relatively close to their target, so they travel a bit by dragon to one of his hunter huts. They enter the noble's dreams, and surprise, surprise, Nia's cover is partly blown. Because it turns out in the dream realm, they are presented, they look as how they truly see themselves. For Talan, it's just a simple t-shirt and pants, and Nia, it's her in human form. So she's just wearing a dress that you used to wear in California, or whatever in America she was from, and her glamour isn't there, so she has human rounded eyes. Human rounded ears, that's what she has. And Talan sees this, and he's like, oh, you're demi-fae. He realizes she's demi-fae. Her cover gets partly blown, like that. After you're finished with the noble, of course, Talan is like, you need to tell me what the hell is going on. She manages to lie and say that her mother, dead, according to the cover, was human, and that the glamour was placed on her by the midwife. Now, Talan doesn't completely buy this, or is like, okay, but like more on that later. He says like, you have to tell me everything once we return to Castle Perilos. Talan is satisfied with that for that moment. The next day, they're still in the like hut, or is it the next day? But sometime later, within that, while they're still in the hunter's hut, Talan goes out to like get some food, water, and stuff like that. And Nia is left alone in the hunter's cabin, and she sees the other twin, the male twin of the pair of twins that are captains in Oberon's army, the same ones that took Raphael. She sees him outside, stalking towards the cabin, towards her, with like 20, 25, 30 face soldiers. And she's like, alarm, he's heading for me, he knows it's me. He must have figured out that I'm the one who killed his twin, because she did say that she recognized Nia from somewhere already, like before. So Nia springs to action. She flees, she kills some face soldiers, she gets cornered ultimately, and she realizes she's going to fucking lose. And as a last measure, the veil that the veil that she has had intact ever since coming to Brokeriande to prevent Talan from invading her mind with his dream stalker magic, she lets it drop. Talan, she sees into her mind, gets a sense of where she is, recognizes her for being the little telepath that stole his map from him. The map that showed where the orphanages were, that Avalon Tower attacked, believing, thinking, not caring if it was military bases or something else. He does still come to her rescue. He kills the male twin, and they have a fist fight. Very romantic. They have a fist fight, and Nia doesn't know how much he's figured out because he's not an actual telepath. He can't read her mind. But he recognized the feel of her mind for that little telepath that stole from him. Either way, Taran slowly puts things together, and she also just like confesses. It was at this scene. She confesses everything. She says she's an Avalon Tower agent. She says, Demi-Faye was already blown. She's there to assassinate him. She's been spying on him and all that. Everything gets aired out. Including that she is Mordred's daughter and that Mordred is still living under Avalon Tower in Avalon Castle. And she doesn't die. She does not die. This bugged me so fucking much. She has a fucking, not Fabian, but she made a deal with Mordred. The deal was for her to not tell anyone or anything about their deal, about him still being alive, about him being under Avalon Castle. That was the deal. Yet she's here telling Talan, I am Mordred's daughter. Okay, that doesn't break the deal. But I am Mordred's daughter, and he is under Avalon Tower. And she doesn't die. Bull fucking shit. Plot hole. Plot hole. I mean, there was no reason. I'm sorry. This was a fucking miss from the authors. There was absolutely no reason for Nia to divulge that she is of the line of the Morgan line. There was no reason. She blew her entire cover with being a spy and all that, and I get that. Like, that was, like, checkmate. She had to. She did not have to tell him about being the daughter of Mordred. Now, I can understand, of course, like, she's, like, tired of lies, so, like, okay, the cover is blown, it doesn't matter, she might as well throw that out there. I can understand that. But, hello, the deal, she has a scar on her hand, the deal. Like, plot fucking hole, and it's such a flagrant plot hole as well. I get it, she doesn't die from simply saying she is Mordred's daughter. She is of that bloodline. That doesn't interfere with the deal. But the deal specifically said, you cannot tell anyone about Mordred. And she does. She says, I'm Mordred's daughter, and I know so because he told me so himself. You know what? Let me just double check this. I will read it straight from the book.
Editing me here. I misremembered that part. She did not confess to being Mordred's daughter in that scene. Neither did she confess to Mordred living underneath Avalon Tower in that scene. A couple of 3-4 chapters afterwards, when she returns to Brokeriande and meets Talan and makes peace with him, that's where she confesses to. I shall read this from the book, Lady of the Lake. I marked it and everything. It's on page 397. She says to Talan, and no, I'm not the farm girl you thought I was. I'm Nia Melisinde, Mordred's daughter. He's still alive in Avalon. That's when she confesses. So my point still holds true. She did that, and she did not die from the Faebane pact she made with Mordred. It just wasn't at that point in time that I just thought that it was.
The deal does not kill Nia. Bullshit. Plot hole. Fuck that shit. No. She should have died. I don't want her to, obviously, but she should have died. The deal she made with Mordred should have killed her. And it gets even more bullshitty later on in the book because Wright is... I'll get to it later, actually. I'll get to it later. Unacceptable. Plot hole. Fucking plot hole. Her cover is completely blown. Talan decides not to kill her. He sends her on his beloved dragon's back to Castle Perillos, where she can go through the portal and return to Avalon Tower. And so she does exactly that. She goes back to Avalon Tower. She sees that it's deranged. It's Rife and the Iron Legion have gotten even more power. It's like Demi-Fae are being attacked. It's chaotic. Sir Kai is dead, but like the circumstances suggest that Rife may have killed him to have ultimate power. And they find out that Rife's weapon that he's been working on, the Pendragon weapon that they've been working on for God knows how long, very long time. It's said before the Fae invasion, right? Before Oberon invaded France, the Pendragons had been working on a weapon, an anti-Fae weapon. Nia discovers that it's a plague. It's a plague that specifically targets the magic of Fae, and it works on Demi-Fae as well. Now, the Pendragon family have been researching this, developing this ever since before Oberon invaded France, which gives us like hard, concrete proof that Avalon Tower is. They're not the good guys they have been portrayed to be so far. So it's not just Rife and the Pendragons that are like rotten. It's Avalon Tower as a whole, like the leadership, the whole thought of Avalon Tower. Nia gets a bit affected by this because she's in the room where they've been experimenting. There we go, English. Experimenting with this disease. Rife captures her. He prostrates her in front of the entirety of Avalon Tower, and he reveals that she is Mordred's daughter. Like, he accuses her of that. She has like another spy moth in her boot because the previous one got destroyed. He shows the spy moth and says like, yes, Mordred was known for his moth. That's how he would spy on people. And he says like, she's been manipulated. She's an enemy of humans and all his usual fucking rubbish. And he says this, accuses Nia of this in front of everyone, including Raphael. And it's written that she feels the deal she made with Mordred. She feels the scar or something like threatening to kill her. Simply because she was thinking of. You're telling me that Nia telling Talan that Mordred is living underneath Avalon Tower in Avalon Castle does not fucking kill her. But the mere fucking thought of denying or confirming that she is Mordred's daughter, that she's working with him, sends like a threat from her deal into her body that she's feel like, oh, it's like threatening to kill her. You're telling me that? Plot fucking hole! Plot hole! No! Stop it! It's such a flagrant plot hole! It feels like the authors just could not be fucking bothered with upkeeping the details of this deal. They're like, nah, fuck it. Like, this is part of what made the ending so fucking, like, it's atrocious, badly written. Like, no! No! You can't do this! You can't fucking do this! It bugged me so fucking much. Like, it's bugging me more and more now that I'm finished the book and going through it now in retrospect. It's bugging me even more. It's such a flagrant plot hole. I mean, it's so flagrant. I cannot imagine that the authors did not do it on purpose. That they didn't just decide, fuck it. I mean, nah. Come on. Okay. Moving on. Rife exposes her. She is unable to deny or confirm anything. Well, deny anything because the deal is threatening to kill her. She's also very weak and she can't use her magic due to the being infected with the disease. Rife ships her off. He wants to throw her in the dungeons. Tussles happen. Raphael and her friends save her, and they tell her to go back to Mordred because that's the only place she's safe, really. She can't go back to Brokilande. Her cover is blown. Avalon Tower is no longer her home. They're like Rife and his Pendragons and his fucking Iron Legion are actively threatening Demi-Fae and Nia in particular. They want to kill her at this point. Back to Mordred to recover from the disease. That's another thing. Rewind a little bit. She goes to Mordred to recuperate. Rife exposes her for having connections to Mordred. Her cover is blown, goes through the lake portal, talks to Mordred, and then she goes to Avalon Tower. Yeah? So, goes through the portal, meets Mordred, and they talk a bit. And Nia's a bit like down for all the events that happened. And Mordred is like cheering her up. He's like, "Oh yeah, I understand. When Merlin betrayed me, I locked myself into my room and was just depressed for like 3 days." Humor. And he was like, "Oh really?" He's like, "No, of course not." And he's like, "No, go get back out there." He's like pep talking her, and she's like, "Oh," and then he hugs her. Did not pick him for that type of character. He hugs her and he's like, "Okay, go on now. Go to Avalon Tower." After he gives her the information also that his spy mouth was destroyed and that she should go to this specific room because something is wrong there. Now, very out of character for him to hug her, but I thought, okay, maybe this is... no, actually, I'm not going to say out of character. I did not expect Mordred to be hugging Nia because from the very beginning he's been presented as not liking demi-fae/humans. When they first met and he put the glamour on her to go to Broceliande to save Raphael, he called her ears deformed, like human ears. He called them deformed. He's also just generally had like this... He's generally just been acting like he was hostile towards demi-fae and humans. Humans, I get it, because Pendragon history and all that stuff, but demi-fae, ne? And Mordred has also been more like tough when Nia, at one point, Nia's just really sick and tired of all the lies, and she knew she was never going to fulfill her part of the deal with Mordred, but then she decides to just tell him this flat out instead of killing him or something. She's like, "Hey, like I'm not gonna help you do this deal." He's like, "Yeah, I know. I'm surprised you're telling me about it though. You didn't even try to kill me." And she says like, "Hey, yeah, but maybe we can just talk this out or something." And he acts like he's like, "Oh, like you're." He doesn't say she's a disappointment, but he acts disappointed, and he's like, "Oh, that's your human side showing," and like that's the type of character he's been portrayed to be and acted like. And now he's hugging her. Now it turns out she has another spy. She refuses to plant another spy mouth in Avalon Tower for the one that was destroyed, and so he planted a spy mouth on her, probably in this hug. So I see that hug could have been just like a cover for him to plant the spy moth. That's fine. Not gonna nag on that or anything. But from that point onwards, Mordred's character towards the end of the book, it just like regresses. It changes. He's portrayed to be like in the beginning he was this like oomph character, like big evil, big daddy. He's a heavy lifter in the Fae realm. There we go. That's a proper way to express that. And then he's showing more like, not emotions, but he's just disintegrating as a character. He acts soft, a bit emotional. The way he describes humans to be, the way he's acted, he views humans as, and the butchered Mordred's character. Nia goes to Avalon Castle with Mordred. She rests there. She finds out from Mordred that the portal to Broceliande that she's been using this entire time is not guarded. Talan has removed the guards. And so she decides to go back to Broceliande in order to gather the Fae allies they had there, potentially bring them back to Avalon Tower, to the human realm, so that they can defeat Wraith. And now Mordred is very happy with this, and he's like, "Oh, and afterwards we'll have the banquet," because that was his plan all along. He wants to kill the Pendragons. No? Now that I'm saying this, I'm realizing this plan has a plot hole. People can only travel through the portal if they're holding on to a sentinel. Nia would have to hold on an army of I don't know how many, one by one, or like one in each hand, so 2 by 2. Okay, fine. Either way, so she goes back to Broceliande with this purpose in mind. Once she arrives there, she decides to go and find Talan to warn him about the disease that Wraith has. She bumps into Talan. They talk it out, and then the chapter ends. And then they're abruptly like she's like, "Hey," like they talk. They're like, "Yes, I'm she says like, I'm Nia Melisinde, I'm from America, I became an Avalon Tower agent, a little bit of that. And then that chapter, that scene ends with Nia like alluding to, there's something you need to know. And he's like, what is it? And then the next chapter, they're in the sky, flying on his dragon, about to enter Avalon Tower to destroy the disease. And again, that was a bit abrupt. It was a bit abrupt. That the chapter of Talan forgiving her, overcoming the betrayal, he does say like, I understand why you did it. Good. And Nia does say, I'm sorry I lied. But then he's like, all good completely. Like it felt a bit it felt like a bit, not wobbly, but a bit like I would have liked more. I would have liked Talan to express more like hurt or more emotions surrounding finding out about her betrayal from his point of view. Ne? All of the hurt, all of the pain, all of the betrayal, it just gets swept under Talan saying, I understand why you lied, and Nia saying, I'm sorry. The scene where her cover was completely blown and she confessed to everything, it was very emotional for Talan. I just reread it. It was very, very emotional for Talan. And none of that gets addressed later on. His emotions doesn't get addressed. The feelings of betrayal and all that, it doesn't get addressed. It just falls flat. Annoying. And then it cuts immediately to them being in the sky, about to like enter Avalon Tower to destroy the disease. Okay. A little bit abrupt. They manage to get in. They meet up with Raphael and her other friends, Sotana and Sirena and Darius. They fight. They kill the Iron Legion club members. Pendragons left and right. Sirena gets killed, and the scene felt flat. Maybe because it's been a long time since I read Avalon Tower and Veil of Dreams. Like maybe Veil of Dreams I read maybe like a month and a half ago. And I remember Serena as a character, but her death, like Nia's expression of emotion at Serena's death felt very flat. It was told, not shown. She says like she saw the ice pick, whatever it was, go into Serena's throat and she died. And it's written that Nia feels like X, Y, Z, and then she goes to like kill the other Iron Club members, and the scene continues. It felt like Nia's emotions were written down, but they weren't shown. You know, that she wasn't shaking, she wasn't having like some flashbacks of their time together, of her dear friend that has proclaimed that even if Nia can't tell her everything, she will always be by Nia's side. You know, there wasn't any depth to it. They get their hands on the disease, the vials of the disease. They eventually manage to destroy it by breathing dragon fire on it. Nia read the notes about the disease, and it says it's sensitive to heat. It gets destroyed. They succeed with destroying it, and then they kill Rife. They kill most of the Pendragons and the members of the Iron Legion Club. And they go to Mordred's castle. Mordred welcomes the people, and he's like, oh, hi. You'll have to excuse me. I'm out of practice with small talk. It's like, in one way I can see Mordred softening up a little bit. At the same time, it's at odds with his character, like the way that he's been portrayed so far in Veil of Dreams and, Veil of Dreams, basically, that's it. It's at odds with how he's been portrayed. Now he feels almost like soft, like now that he has people that will come and spend time with him, that he can interact with, he drops his Barbie persona, Thorny Barbs, that's what I wanted to say. Mordred and his Barbie persona. No, his like thorny personality, his thorny side, and it feels weird. Like it hasn't been built up, it hasn't been properly alluded to or anything. We had one scene in Veil of Dreams where Nia says like he's probably very lonely because he's obviously, no? But it's not. I feel like it fell flat. His like change, so to say, it fell flat. Like it feels like the authors made him that way because it suited them, because they just wanted to finish this fucking book. Right. So they're there, and Right, Talan gets like a deadly wound by iron, so they take him. Nia takes him to Mordred, and Mordred has like this potion that Nimue taught him centuries ago on how to heal or like get rid of iron in a fey body, and so that works. Talan survives, and then they head on like after a little bit of time. They head towards Brocoliande to then take down Oberon, who's actively planning on like on taking down the rest of Scotland, England, France. I don't know where a human country. Now, another thing, it felt like these scenes with Talan getting the mortal wound and everything, it really felt like the authors just had like a checklist of things that makes at the end of a book epic, like a character dying, Serena, the love interest getting a deadly wound, Talan. It felt like they just had like a checklist of these things make the ending good, and they just wrote them down so haphazardly that like they just checked it off. They just wanted to check it off. They didn't give the scenes emotional depth. Even Talan getting like a mortal wound was okay. Then she just takes him to Mordred and all as well. Like there wasn't much emotional depth to it. But okay. Now they make their way to Talan was like out for a day and a half, so that time has passed. Then they make their way to Brocoliande, and they thwart Oberon. They send away his armies. Talan uses his position as a prince to send away some of the armies that Oberon has to another distant part, so Oberon can't mobilize them. Then Talan and Nia show up to the planning room in the Castle Perillos, I think it is. And Oberon's like, "Oh my God, you're fucking late. Sit the fuck down, son." And Talan then just makes his standpoint very open. He's like, "No, I will not ride into Europe, France, whatever, and kill for you." And then the nobles, one by the other, support Talan because he's been sending Nia out and doing his own little dream magic to like manipulate them into coming to his side. In the end, the majority of the nobles at the table are against Oberon, and I think one of his only allies is Arwena's father still, who's willing to mobilize his army for Oberon. Now, Talan also divulges that Oberon is a usurper of the throne. He says that he reveals that he's not of Mordred's bloodline, but he's of Merlin's bloodline. And for some reason, that is the point where Oberon like kind of breaks, because up until now he sees like his son defying him, he sees the other nobles going against him, and he's still pushing forward. He's like, "No, I'll take my own like king's guard and I'll take you down." Like he's still fighting, like Spitfire and everything. Simultaneously, Nivene has mobilized the farmers and like the citizens of Brocoliande, and they're on their way to storming Castle Perillos once again. Because of Oberon's rule, they're very dissatisfied with it. Now, all of these put together, and Oberon is still like fighting against it. But when Talan says that Oberon, as well as Talan, is not of the blood of Morgan, Oberon flees. He creates a portal and he flees through it. And now Talan realizes that he is going to get his own dragon and like torch them all to death. And then the authors do this thing again. The chapter ends with Oberon creating a portal and escaping through it. And then we have a couple sentences more where Talan is like realizing and telling Nia he's going to get his dragon. Chapter ends. Next chapter. Talan and Oberon are in the sky already on their respective dragons fighting each other. And Nia's like in the castle looking up at the sky to them like, "Oh my God, Talan." And it felt very abrupt. Again, it's very choppy. It's like I needed a scene or two in between where Talan maybe raced to get his dragon, where the people are coming closer, like something, it's just very abrupt, like chop, and now this next chapter, copy paste, abrupt. The fight ends with Talan winning, but then not just weird. The dragon fight against his father ends with Talan winning, but Oberon falls off of his dragon, creates a portal, and escapes through it. And that's the last thing we see of Oberon. He doesn't get killed, he's not imprisoned, it's just unknown end for Oberon. He flees. And that also felt very, very like poor. Like, no, tell me what happened to Oberon. I want a proper ending to Oberon. He just flees? I mean, I guess, okay, he's a coward. He blamed other demi-fae and humans for the famine in Brocoliande, which turns out actually the humans were at fault at, so he wasn't completely wrong. Although he does not know that. He did not know that, so still a coward. But unsatisfying end for Oberon. Then they still have this entire train of unsatisfied citizens storming to Castle Perillos, demanding to dethrone Talan still, because Talan again has the rumors of being the one that scorched the rebellion that they had last time. A lot of time ago, he has the rumors of being the butcher of Britain. He has a very malicious rumor persona. That's the impression people have. But Auburn was the one who did all those things and just blamed Talan for them. Now, the mob is not satisfied. They want revolution. Nivene is on the side saying like, we're not from Brokolianda. This is their fight to settle, not ours, Nia. But that whole thing ends with them agreeing to create a republic, essentially. So it's not a dictatorship. It's not a regency where a king rules, but everyone kind of a democracy, if you will, ish. They decide that collectively, and Nia offers Avalon Castle for the nobles to live in, the nobles of Brokoliande, and in the end, whoever else wants to serve under a king, rather than this new system implemented. Talan moves to Avalon Castle as well, and that's fucking weird. But Talan, nobles, and many others of Brokoliande end up moving to Avalon Castle, Mordred's castle, underneath Avalon Tower, where Mordred rules as king. And the people who stayed in Brokoliande were the ones who wanted a new system, where kind of everyone gets a vote, where it's more commonly owned. It's not a one king ruling, at least. And the end scene is Talan and Nia just talking to each other. Raphael becomes the new leader of Avalon Tower, the Seneschal, if you will. That is the end. So, let me understand this. Talan, who Nia says at one point he does really love his country. So Talan, he's been actively working to dethrone Oberon, who has wanted to kill Oberon. Okay, he managed to dethrone Oberon. And then it's never actually stated. Partly due to the secrecy, Talan didn't fully divulge himself to Nia, to his plans regarding his father. It's never stated, alluded to, implied what his plans after dethroning his father are. Like, it's never stated what his intention is. But then for the result to be that he leaves Brokoliande, he's lived and grown up in Brokoliande. He's been to the human realm, in his castle, the Chateaux or the Rêves or something like that. But in that castle, he has no connection other than that to the human realm, and now he's suddenly just uprooted his entire life and living in Avalon Castle. That is extremely flat. That also feels like another thing, alongside with Mordred's personality changing character, along with these choppy chapters, along with just everything else. It feels like the author just really wanted to finish this fucking book, this fucking story, so just flatlined it. I feel like Talan would have had more of a say, would have wanted to stay in Brokoliande. Now, he cares about his people, so maybe ultimately, yes, if it's for the good of the people, he caves, but it wasn't propped up, it wasn't explained, it hasn't been addressed whatsoever in the books. And so for this to be the ending for Talan, just leaving Brokoliande as a whole, now living in Avalon Tower, it just feels flat, it feels insufficient. There was no explanation around that. No explanation, there was nothing supporting this. There was nothing supporting this outcome. And then Mordred, he finally gets his banquet, celebrating that all the Pendragons died. Nia did not count, but she's told him all the Pendragons died. He gets his banquet, they're celebrating everything, and Mordred says, I do hope you'll all stay here after the celebration. There's still plenty of room left. Now he's being a good host. He's like, what? What happened to Mordred? This is not that. This is not Mordred. He has turned to a 5-year-old child. He has turned to a little boy. He's regressed to a little boy. For what? For what? Now, I get that he's happy. Finally, his long-awaited banquet, all the Pendragons are exterminated. He's counted every he knows that there was 103 Pendragons. I get that, so he's happy. but it feels like the disparity between, okay, he's happy and how he's been presented up until now, the end, how that character would have been happy and how he is portraying his happiness. There's a disparity between those. Also, randomly, he at this banquet, he's like dressed in fine clothing and he's wearing an Avalon steel torque. I maybe I missed this detail, but to me, I didn't catch that Mordred was part of Avalon Tower. I know he was like back in the days of Arthur. I thought he invaded just like he was living somewhere else, well, presumably at the castle with his mother, Queen Morgan, and he then went from that castle, or from his humble abode, whatever it was, infiltrated Avalon Tower and killed everyone, including Arthur. Um, but apparently he was an Avalon Tower, part of Avalon Tower. How else would he have the Avalon Steel Torque? That's just like thrown in there. But okay, I missed that. Another thing that gets thrown in there is that Talan's mother was the Lady of Shalott. I picked up on that. On Veil of Dreams, there was plenty of scenes, sentences that show that Talan's mother was the Lady of Shalott. I picked up on that. I'm thinking though, so maybe I did not pick up on Mordred having been part of Avalon Tower. That is a possibility. Fair enough, but it felt very off. Like I don't think I would have missed that. I would have missed that. I don't think so. But okay, Nia too. It's never. So what I said before, she did no longer felt like Avalon Tower was her home. Brokeliande was never her home. She was never gonna go back to America with her mom. She's homeless in a sense, emotionally homeless. Now it does seem like she felt that Talan was not necessarily her home, but like that was the one thing for her. Talan was her one thing, but it's never actually stated or alluded to, not that I could perceive, that she felt that he was her home. So now I actually also don't know. Is she staying in Avalon Tower now that all the Pendragons are gone and Raphael, a demi-fae, a good guy, is Seneschal? Is she staying in Avalon Tower? It doesn't get confirmed. It doesn't get talked about. It's just like left there, just like Oberon, where he went, left there, just like Mordred's character change. Just like, okay, this happens. No back things to support this. Just like the choppy chapters, just like pushed in there. Like so many things. Another thing, two sentences in the end that says, it says Nia left her mother in Camelot, left her to finally take care of herself, and that she was done with that. That's all we get on. That's the last thing we get on Nia and her mother's relationship. And that it fell flat. That also fell flat. There was no confrontation. There was no, hey, you made me feel X, Y, Z by taking care of you and your drug infused hazes and stuff. I hated you for it. Goodbye. Like no meeting where Nia gets to air out her emotions or have that peace, so to say. It was just like a one-liner of like, oh yeah, this happened with her mom. That's it. Flat. It fell flat. The whole ending. And like the closer and closer we got to the ending, it felt like the authors really were like, I'm tired of writing. I just want to get this fucking book down. I don't care about anything anymore. That's the feeling of the ending. And it felt completely flat. So yeah, I did not like, support, enjoy the ending whatsoever. It felt very rushed, and as I said, it felt like the authors just said, fuck it. The ending for me was so bad, like badly written. I don't think the ending itself was bad in the sense of Talan infiltrates Avalon Castle with Nia. In the end, he like leaves Brokeliande. Mordred kind of changed. No, not that part. Like I don't think those components are bad in and by themselves. It's just the execution. The writing was so flat that it's bad. Like the ending is bad. It's badly written. The ending is so badly written that not recommend anyone to read the series as a whole. That's how I feel. I mean, out of the trilogy, Veil of Dreams was the best one, which is a bit funny. Typically, in my experience with trilogies, book 2 is usually the worst book because like nothing's really happening. I'm a bit confused. Like this is just overall my experience with trilogies. But in this series, book of Veil of Dreams was the best one. Avalon Tower started with like questionable choices. No, like yeah, just watch my video if you want a more in-depth thingy. Avalon Tower was a bit like, okay, the prep was a prep book for what is to come. Like we needed to get to know Nia, her background, we needed to know the world and stuff. So Avalon Tower felt more like an introduction and prep book for Veil of Dreams. Veil of Dreams, nice, beautiful. It had interesting. The plot was completely interesting. It's like I really like Nia's mission of like triple personalities that she needs to keep track of, like fooling Talan and all this stuff. Really enjoyed it. Highly liked it. That book I can recommend as a singular book. And then Lady of the Lake started great. I had so much hope, so much like, oh, what are you gonna do this? How are you gonna explain that? La la la, and then it just fell flat. I feel like I've invested my time. Ah, shit, battery's low. Scene change, battery's low. I need to plug it to a outlet. Here we are. Veil of Dreams, greatly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the triple, quadruple personalities Nia needed to keep track of, the way she needed to think of excuses in the middle of the, immediately to not be able to recover. Greatly enjoyed it. I think that was also a nicely written book. But now, where is it? Lady of the Lake. Lady of the Lake. Started good. I was engaged. I was interested. I was like, well, what's gonna happen? Her cover's gonna be blown. What's gonna happen with the relationship? How are they going to end up together? Because I don't see an impossible way of this happening. And then it fell flat. Like I've invested my energy, my time, my wits, if you will, reading this book. I remember I loosely reread Veil of Dreams because for that review video, I wanted to make a review video for Veil of Dreams, and I really wanted to get all the details and everything. And I was just so excited for Lady of the Lake, and I feel it wasn't quite worth it. The ending is just overshadowing the series as a whole. This is actually the very first book I've read that has like spies and fae spies. I've never read anything like this before, like with that theme before. But I'm willing to bet that there are books that have like fae spy academy even that are better written. I'm willing to bet that there are. I wouldn't actually recommend anyone read this series based off of the execution of the ending of the series. There we go. It's not conceivable for me that both authors wrote that ending and saw nothing wrong or nothing missing or nothing amiss with that ending. I mean, the only logical solution, like explanation I have for this is that the authors like willingly made it like this for whatever reasons. You know, maybe there were pressing issues, health or something. I don't know, but I cannot imagine that this was read through and no one saw a problem with this and then just published it. So I think this was done very, very intentionally, and it feels bad. I feel disappointed because they're clearly capable. Like this is the first books I've read from these authors. Clearly, like Veil of Dreams, they are capable of writing emotions. They're capable of writing like a proper plot development. They're capable of this. They're not lacking in skills, but they did not employ those skills in the ending. They just flatlined the characters, like really, really rushed the plot, ignored a bunch of things. No.
No. Um, yeah, this was my review of Lady of the Lake. If you agree with me, or actually, if you have a different opinion, that would be more interesting. If you have a different opinion with me, write in the comments below. If you did not pick up on anything wrong or missing in the end, let me know that too. Because did we read the same book? But yeah, let me know what you got. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. And this was my review of Lady of the Lake and the final book in the Avalon Tower series.